Yo, welcome to the wonderful world of Hungry Heath. Now, I am not a classically trained chef. What I am is a self-taught home cook. I have studied under several television chefs. I have a PhD from YouTube University and a black belt in Google Food. I love to cook. The only thing I love more than cooking is my wife, the sensational Shelly Eats Steak. Every Friday night, 6:30 Central, we go live for the Friday night feast. We'll cook up an entree, maybe a couple little snacks, show y'all how to do it, and then we'll just sit around and enjoy the fruit of all of our labors. And just shoot the breeze with all of our friends we like to call the Hungry Horde. So come along and watch us someday. Now today is day 16.
Yes. No. 17.
Why do I keep doing that?
It's because time is flying this year.
Really?
Like last year, it seemed like it was dragging, and this year, we're just racing.
We're getting ran over by the year.
I know. But it's the 17th.
And we're doing the July Chopped Challenge set up by the Two Crazy Ketos. And today's protein they want us to use is duck eggs. So I went to this little farmer's market yesterday and picked up a dozen fresh duck eggs. And then I decided let's just make deviled eggs with them.
Why not?
So let me show you what we're going to do.
Yeah. Now, normally, we just eat duck eggs fried because you love duck eggs.
They're amazing, especially the yolks.
But they're about double the price of chicken eggs.
Yeah.
But they are really healthy. They have a good amount of selenium, choline, and other vitamins. Just the yolk is more dense as far as nutrient-wise. And I think that because you can only get fresh duck eggs, like it's not a factory farm, they tend to be healthier in that respect as well.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, now we can go get started on these deviled duck eggs. It needs to have 3 letters though. Deviled, duck, delicious,
Dynamite.
eggs. The eggs. Right? D apostrophe.
Yeah.
Alright.
So for our deviled duck eggs, we're going to need a dozen duck eggs, some mayo, mustard, my pork and poultry rub, and then typically I would use a pickle relish, but I don't have any, but I have a ton of pickles, so I'll just make my own relish. So let's get started and I'll show you what we're going to do. So how I cook my eggs in the Instant Pot is I put my trivet down into the pot. Then I put my tray in. I just like to put my handles up because what I'll do is after these are cooked, I can grab this with my tongs and pull it back out. They make a basket that fits this. Seems like it'd be so much easier. I just don't want to bother with spending the money on it whenever I have all these tools already that came with my pot. And next, I just start putting my eggs down into my tray. My liner, whatever you call it. I'm going to do all 12 of them. Just get them really lay flat. Sometimes you have to jostle them around a little bit. And then to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of water. And then lock my lid. Make sure that it is set for steaming. Now I'm going to set it for manual, 5 minutes. And let it go. We'll wait a few minutes and it'll turn on like it did just now. Then in 5 minutes, I'll come back and I'll show you what's next. Our eggs have finished cooking, so now I'm going to flip the lever to venting. I'll let all that steam come out, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what's next. All the steam is dissipated, so I'm going to power it off. The easiest way to do it for me is just unplug it. And then I'm going to undo the lid, stab it, Then next, I'm just going to grab that little tray. I'm going to set it on a towel. To me, it's just easier to do it this way. I just realized that I did an extra step. I could have just set this all the way into my bowl, like so. And now I'm going to add ice to it. That's not quite enough, so I'm going to get a little more. Now that I have the eggs covered in ice, I'm going to pour a cup of water over the top. And it looks like I'm going to need probably 2 more cups. Now that my eggs are fully submerged, I'm going to let them sit for a little while. I don't do any hard, fast rule on how long I let them sit. I just go and do something else. Like I'm fixing to eat lunch. When I finish eating lunch, I'm going to come back and check and see if they're ready to peel or not. One of the nice things about using this little bucket is all the water comes straining back off. And then I just put it on this towel and I go empty the bucket. Now we need to start peeling the eggs. So obviously, since I'm stuffing these eggs, I'm going to have to cut them in half. So I'm going to take it gently like that. Take me a spoon. Push the yolk out into a mixing bowl. And I want to do it kind of gingerly so I don't tear up the egg. Sometimes you just kind of have to fight with it, and then I'll just go ahead and use my knife and kind of peel it apart. Because these yolks are a little thicker than a standard egg yolk, a chicken yolk. So sometimes you just have to fight with it a little bit. And then I'll just start placing them in my container, and then I'll get these done and we'll be right back.
All right, y'all. This is all the yolks. See, it is really thick, almost like a butter. That's all the eggs. You can see some of them, we didn't get them out. What was interesting is it seems to have almost a double protection around it. So some of them we weren't good at getting it all the way out, but we got it good enough. And so to this, all the yolks, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of mayo. I'm sorry. 2 tablespoons of mayo. And I'm using the Primal Kitchen's Chipotle Lime Mayo. You know how we have to have all our different spices. And then just any regular yellow mustard. Now you could be fancy and you could do Dijon mustard if you wanted. Or, any particular kind of mustard you prefer. Brown mustard would definitely add a little kick or zing to it. I just use the regular yellow. You want to do about a tablespoon of it. Now, of course, for seasoning, we're using Hungry Heath's pork and poultry rub. And you just want to season that probably about a tablespoon. And we do a little bit of a pour here. Just a good enough coating of it. And then we didn't have any relish. If you have relish, I would do a couple tablespoons of relish. If you don't, it's so easy to make your own relish. Just take your pickles, like your dill pickles, and then from there, put them in a food processor until you get them to the diced amount that you want. So that's what we did here. And I'm just going to put these in here. And this is what he did on the pickles. And we just used dill pickles, right?
Just regular hamburger dills.
Okay.
Pickermigdillo, I think is what they call them.
Yeah, from H-E-B.
And I didn't measure it, I just grabbed a handful, threw them in there.
Yeah, that's perfect to me. And again, I think with deviled eggs of any kind, it's really your preference on how you want to do it. Sometimes we will add some diced crispy bacon or bacon bits to this. Sometimes we'll do diced jalapenos. Sometimes we just even do it with no pickles and just the yummy fattiness of everything. And then you're just going to stir this together. Now, if you wanted to be all schmancy, you could put this all in the food processor as well and just blend it until well smooth and no clumps are in it. Typically, I just kind of stir this up. Sometimes I will use a fork, which I will get a fork here just to kind of mash out some of these yolks. And you just stir it until everything is well combined and smooth. So it usually takes a couple minutes to do that. So I'm going to keep doing this. There we go. And how we've always done deviled eggs, like if we're going to do them for a party or a get together, I always make them at least a day ahead of time because he, one, likes them like frigid cold, and then two, it really allows all the flavors to combine, and then it sets up overnight in the refrigerator and it just looks even prettier the next day. So this is definitely something like around the holidays that you can make ahead of time. And these duck eggs, oh my gosh, I can tell already this is going to be really fatty tasting. It's going to have all that yummy fatty yolk, and it's just going to be a richer taste. I can tell already just how thick everything is coming through. Okay, I'm just going to keep working on this, and then we'll be back. Okay, here's what the mixture looks like. Now, I do work with 2 utensils. So I have my spoon for scooping, and then I have another one for pushing it off. Now, again, you could get really fancy with this, and you get a piping bag, and really make these look real special. But, y'all know, we're just some southern people who just, as long as it eats good, that's what we do. So we don't always do like, well, okay, I'm going to be honest. We never do the piping bag because I just don't have the patience for that. I try to make them look as good as possible, but I know you can definitely up your game by putting it in a pastry bag and piping it out and doing cute little swirls with it. But I just try to fill these up and then move on and put them in the fridge. And because, you know, Heath, he's just like, oh, this is deviled eggs, I'll just eat them. He don't care about presentation. He's just like, it looks good, tastes good, that's all that matters. I don't even know where he went. So I'm going to keep putting this, filling these up. Now I do tend to overfill them just because, honestly, y'all, my favorite part about a deviled egg is the filling. What's y'all's favorite? That's what I'm going for. When I'm going for a deviled egg, it's the deviled part. That's what I want. The white part of the egg itself is just the vehicle for getting me this yumminess. And so I tend to just overfill these with a lot of it in here because that's what I really want. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when they're all done.
Now, typically, most people would dust theirs with some paprika. And I've seen, that's the way I used to do it too. I've seen a lot of people do it that way. Well, I gave a little bottle of my pork and poultry rub to a coworker years ago. And she was telling me how she went to make some deviled eggs and noticed she was out of paprika. So she just grabbed a pork and poultry rub and dusted their eggs with that. I was like, well, that sounds really good. I mean, because it's still poultry. So I've adopted that and started using it from now on. That's the way I do my eggs now. It's so good.
Well, what I like about it, because paprika is good on its own, but your pork and poultry rub have all those other seasonings,
Yeah.
and that really complements deviled eggs. It just takes the flavor up another notch.
To another level.
I mean, it really does, because instead of, a lot of times deviled eggs can be kind of bland, But with the pork and poultry rub, it gives it that little bit of sweetness, a little bit of spice, the paprika, all of those flavors come through. So this is a great addition to deviled eggs.
Welcome back.
Carter?
Yeah, that too.
Gotta. Isn't that what it was?
These look amazing. I just love deviled eggs. They're going to be even better when they come out of the fridge in the morning. Though I'll eat them with almost any dish, any kind of meal. And well, I'm not really on breakfast, but they're really good with barbecue, especially. But they're just a great side item for almost any meal.
Especially ribs.
Yeah, because
That's
you're already
my
finger
favorite.
food anyways.
Right, and then you get the little bit of the rib sauce because you're like, blah, blah, and then you put it on the eggs, and yeah, it definitely is good. I think deviled eggs is kind of a classic dish,
Okay.
don't you? I feel like
Yeah.
that's. I mean,
Because
at
I've
least,
had them my whole life, so probably.
right. I mean, where you're from, is that like a typical summer picnic food or barbecue or cookout food? I feel like any barbecue I've been to, there's always been deviled eggs.
And then every time we order them at a restaurant, they seem like they're so high priced
Yeah,
for what they
do.
are.
For what they are. Like, you'll go to like a fancy steakhouse, and for two, they want like $12.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's only like one egg or two eggs. And
What
you're
really
like,
drives me
"Really?"
nuts too, they'll give you 3 on a platter.
I know.
How are we supposed to share 3?
I know, isn't that weird?
I'd rather have just 2.
I know. But, I mean, they will make it fancy, and they'll be like, oh, we're going to put, what is it?
Angel dust on it or something. No, they're going to give you drugs. But I'm just thinking something fancy.
I was thinking like caviar.
Yeah. Well, we have some fish roe. We could put that on there.
Yeah, if you want to, go right ahead.
I'll get up in a minute.
So anyhow, so these are duck, which we've never done duck as deviled.
Right?
We've usually when we get duck eggs, because here, where you're at, if you get duck eggs, how much are they running where you're at? Here, they were $9, right?
Right.
For a dozen. It's kind of pricey.
And I had to drive half hour to get that.
Well, yeah, normally we get them at the farmer's market, but we didn't go last Saturday, so we had to like go into an actual local farm store to pick them up. And but normally we just go on farmer's market on Saturdays and get a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
When he feels the need for them, which I really think they're delicious.
Yeah.
They make amazing omelets.
They make really good omelets. I love them sunny side up.
Yeah.
Especially like on top of a burger.
Oh,
goodness.
yeah. It's just the yolk is just amazing, y'all. If you haven't tried duck eggs, I highly recommend trying them if you have that available where you're at. So let's give it a try with them being doubled and see what you think.
Okay, the only thing is, 'cause I'm a big boy, these are usually bite-sized for me. I want to be dainty and just take a little bite. I'm just afraid of squeezing it too hard and going everywhere.
Really? You're going to be dainty? That's a first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
Mmm.
That dog will hunt.
That's good. Real creamy. I already knew before I tasted it. Just seeing the texture of the filling, I knew it was going to be super creamy. Super, trying to think, like luscious. Like it's just like a really good fatty yolk. And then when you add the mayo to it, oh my gosh, y'all. And then the mustard is good too, because then the mustard kind of gives that little bit of tang that you need.
It's like the yin to the yang from mustard and mayo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna have to give me a minute though, because just turn away for a second. I'm gonna eat this whole tray. I love them so much.
What do you love about these compared to chicken?
The filling especially too feels like it's It's taller too. It's like it's thicker.
Yeah.
I guess because those yolks are so big.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's that mayo we use as well. It kind of amped it up a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely get that little bit of chipotle lime flavor coming through. So it's not the just plain old.
Here's some mayo.
Right.
We always got to try to be a little extra. But these are really good.
Yeah, and I like the just a little hint of pickles in it.
Yeah.
Like maybe I would have done a little bit more pickles.
Okay.
And we should have added like the juice or something to it. Just a little bit. Just because I love sour, y'all. Like, it's my favorite profile for food is sour. So I'm always upping the sour ante.
Right, that's true.
But your poultry rub, it just sets it off. It just makes it perfect. But I enjoy these. I think they're a great addition, a great side, something different to do.
Yeah.
Instead of just your traditional, like, chicken deviled eggs. Be fancy, because you imagine showing up at the barbecue party and they'd be like, oh, you brought deviled eggs? Like, oh, yeah, everybody always brings it. And you'd be like, no, they're duck. And they'll be like, what?
Well, one thing we could have done is, like you said earlier, put a little sliver of bacon on it, or in them, just chopped up, or topped it with either candied, or pickled rather, jalapenos or fresh jalapenos.
Yeah.
We like doing that too.
Yeah.
We didn't want to take away from the glory that is the yolks on this. Because this looks stellar.
It does. It really does taste stellar as well.
Yeah.
I just think most people, especially if you have someone who's like, oh, duck, oh, like it just seems odd to them. If you just gave them this, they would be like, well, I mean, it looks right. And when they taste it, they'd be like, wow, that's like the best tasting deviled egg.
I wouldn't tell them it's duck. I'd let them try a few, and it's like, hey, by the way, surprise, quack quack.
But I just think that it just has such a deep fatty flavor.
Yeah.
It's not greasy, not that
at all.
type of fatty. Just that like a really good, like
Robust.
the difference between regular butter and Kerrygold butter. It's that just deeper, richer, fatty flavor. And I feel like that's what you get with a duck. Is you get that. It's the difference between regular butter and Kerrygold. Wouldn't you say, like, regular
Just like
chicken
everybody
and
else,
duck?
and then Heath. A little extra.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's a heat, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed this video, definitely comment below. Give us a thumbs up. That really helps.
Be a little extra in your comments.
Yeah, show us how extra you can be. And if you like our channel and you want to see more of what we're putting out, definitely hit that subscribe button. And then, of course, every Friday night at 6:30 Central, we go live for the Friday night feast, where we cook up an entree or maybe a snack, and then we show you all how you do it. We take a bite, we eat it, and then we chit-chat with all of our friends in the Hungry Horde.
Faux show.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
See ya. Give me here.